Hello, everybody. I am back for another movie review. And now that the camera marathon is over, I can finally focus on other things. And this time I decided to check out a movie that, I'm still trying to process what I just watched last night. And last night I decided to watch this movie called Mad God. Mad God is an animated film that came out very recently on Blu-ray this year by visionary filmmaker and visual effects supervisor Phil Tippett. Mad God, describing the plot of this movie is, I don't even know where to begin to tell you what the plot is. I mean, it's basically about a masked figure who descends into a hellish underworld carrying only a suitcase and a map as he's trying to following the map to get to his destination to where he's supposed to go. And along the way he comes across all these weird creatures that don't even know if they even exist in this world or if they've come from another world. I mean, it's like every time he just keeps descending into multiple levels of the underworld, and it's just like experiencing yeah, I'm literally I like I said, describing the plot of this movie would be doing this film a disservice, because this is like one of those movies you just need to see for yourself to believe it. But honestly, if there is one category I can honestly simply say about this movie, and pardon the language, what in the holy shit in hell did I just watch? Literally, what did I just watch? What? Who? I can't even begin to imagine what was going through Phil Tippett's mind when he came up with this madness. And the other odd thing is that it took him 30 years to get this thing made. 30 years. He'd been in production with this thing since the early 90s. Ever since he finished up production on RoboCop 2. Yeah, oh, by the way, before I go into that, if anybody is not familiar who Phil Tippett is an effects supervisor or an effects wizard who actually worked on multiple film projects. And his career spanned pretty far back, going as far back as Star Wars, literally. In fact, the guy actually holds 2 Academy Award wins, even on the back of the box here, yeah. He actually holds 2 Oscars, winning for Return of the Jedi as a special achievement win, and also winning on Jurassic Park. But he had also worked on many other projects too. He worked on RoboCop, RoboCop, and also RoboCop 2. In fact, right after he finished up RoboCop 2, he was getting ready to start production on this, but then he was offered to work on Jurassic Park, and then that's when the project got put on hold for him, and he got offered other things, and kind of went off from there. But now only then was he finally, I guess after many years, but like I said, he'd been trying to get this thing made for so long, it's ridiculous. So as I've said, explaining this film, describing the plot of this movie it's just one of those things that it's almost impossible to describe. Obviously, Phil Tippett has been a fan of many visionaries like Ray Bradbury, Forrest J. Ackerman, Richard Corbin, and Adam Savage. But the way I see this movie is, I think if you were to take a blender and throw in the works of Tim Burton, Guillermo del Toro, H.R. Geiger, Salvador Dali, and Clive Barker, threw them all into a blender, what would come out would be this. Yeah, I think Guillermo del Toro said it perfectly. Phil Tippett truly is a master. Now, I'm not dissing this film or saying any bad things about it at all. I mean, I will say this movie is an absolute fever-pitch, nightmarish dream. And for a visionary like Phil Tippett to come up with something as crazy as this, what does come out, I will say, this movie definitely has cult favorite masterpiece written all over it. Or in the years to come, people are going to take a look at this movie and realize, man, what kind of mad god was Phil Tippett when he came up with this? But you know what? That's just the beauty of this film. I mean, like, what you're going to see in this movie is very incomprehensible, will obviously make no sense whatsoever, but you know what? I think that's what's going to make this film that's what's going to turn this movie into a total masterpiece. I mean, it got a limited release, but it was actually released on Shudder, so you can actually see it on their site. But it's already getting rave reviews by critics. Right now, it's got a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. Again, I know sometimes I don't judge movies by Rotten Tomatoes ratings, but sometimes, it helps. Not in the greatest way, but yeah. But yeah, what amazes me the most, again, about this movie is the fact that 30 years it took Phil Tippett 3 decades to get this made, and for a film that has a time run of only 84 minutes, but still it's all animated. There are some live action segments in the film, but for the most part, it has an animation style similar to that of sort of like what Tim Burton did with some of the stuff he did, and also sort of like what Guillermo del Toro did with his Pinocchio. It has an animation style similar to that. And a lot of the animation style a lot of it is stop motion. Some of it has a bit of a claymation thrown in. So it's like a jumbled mess. Oh, and another person I also forgot about is Gerald Scarfe. Gerald Scarfe is the animation director for Pink Floyd The Wall. And yeah, some of the stuff in this movie definitely looks like I feel like I'm watching Pink Floyd The Wall on crack. Basically, yes, this whole movie is like I said, I would be doing this film a disservice if I tried to speak about the film in any way possible. Basically, bottom line is, you just need to see this movie for yourself to believe what I'm saying. I wish I could show you image from the movie, but I wish I could. But yeah, there's just, look at the creatures on the front cover here. Like, this, oh, come on. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, look at some of the creatures on the front cover here. Like, this is some of the stuff you will see in the movie. Like, that's nothing compared to what you're going to see. Literally. Well, as for the Blu-ray release, this has been released by RLJE Films, even though it's a Shudder release, but I will say the version I got here is this beautiful Steelbook edition, which is really cool. And inside are the Blu-ray and the DVD copy. The Blu-ray, yeah, and of course there's this little sleeve. I think it's a promo thing for AMC Plus. So, and I think it's for looks like also a promo for Shudder for the for the streaming site. But yeah, the Blu-ray honestly looks pretty darn good. I mean, it definitely presents the film in the best I probably will ever see the film look, unless there's a 4K version out there somewhere eventually. But the movie, like I said, the animation sequences, they're all kind of done in different styles, with each one being more bizarre than the last. The bizarre's like me being gentle with the movie, trying to describe it as best I can. But yeah, the image looks really good, a lot of detail. There's like a certain portion of the film where it kind of has an old age, like grainy look, but it was done that way deliberately for the movie. But the video comes out amazing, and it's just like I said, you just cannot turn away from what you're about to watch, what you're about to see. So I would say for the video, out of 5 stars, it gets a 4.5 for me. The audio, well, it sounds good, to say the least. The crazy thing is, throughout the film, there's really no dialogue at all through the whole movie. Not really at all. Just some a lot of growling and grumbling noises, and also there's creatures in the film that sound like a baby when they talk. They speak in a babbling language you can't even understand. So, and yeah, of course, there's a lot of screaming, especially from a baby at the end of the movie, which doesn't even resemble a baby. So, but like I said, yeah, even though there's no dialogue in the film, but don't let that discern you from trying to see the movie, because sometimes there are movies out there that don't even have dialogue that are actually masterpieces. They're actually really good. This film is really all about visuals. Visuals and sound. That's literally the best way to describe this movie when it comes to audio. It's all about visuals and sound. It's basically what you're seeing is going to tell the story. And even if you can't figure the story out, like I said, it's all about visuals. So I would say out of 5 stars, the audio also gets a 4.5 because it sounds perfect. The audio comes out perfectly. The sound effects are great. Everything about this film is great. As for bonus features, yeah, believe it or not, this disc has plenty of stuff. I wish there was a list back here of what there is on the movie, but from what I've gathered on the Blu-ray itself, I don't know if the DVD might have the stuff too, but the Blu-ray comes with a nice wealth of material. It starts off with a pair of commentaries. One has Phil Tippett and fellow filmmaker Guillermo del Toro, as they both talk about, literally, as Guillermo tries to pick apart Phil's brain to figure out, where he came up with all the wild and crazy ideas that he had for this movie. And the other is with some effects supervisors that also are animators that worked with Phil Tippett on the movie, talking about, how... And also Phil does talk about his, like I said, his inspirations, what drove him to come up with this wild, crazed nightmare of a film. Literally everything. And there are some small behind-the-scenes featurettes that explain the making of the movie. There's interviews with Phil Tippett. Well, there was an audio interview where he actually was explaining, again, where he got his inspiration. And a lot of the interviews talk about, working on the movie, the fact that, some of the people that Phil hired been working with him for that long, 30 years, to come up with this crazy, wild movie. So yeah, there's plenty of material to weave through to get to literally figure out how this nightmare movie came to life. I know I've said nightmare film many times, but that's pretty much what this film is. It's just one guy's wild, crazy imagination come to life on the screen. And honestly, this has got to be one of the most original animated films I've ever seen in my life. I would say out of 5 stars for the movie itself, I would probably give it maybe a 4 out of 5. The Blu-ray is the top-notch disc, so the video and audio are both spectacular. The extras are plentiful, so there's a good amount of stuff to look at. And unfortunately, I think you can get this on Amazon for $20. Now, I bought this off eBay, and I got the Steelbook edition, so the Steelbook is pretty cool. It's very, the artwork is gorgeous, so yeah, that's an image from the movie, so no doubt. So I would say if you're into animation, if you're into wild, inept, just visceral, crazy stuff like this, Mad God is definitely your ticket to a paradise of absolute hell. That's all I gotta say. So, in the end, I would simply suggest you definitely give this movie a shot. If you hear people talk about this film, it's one of those movies that, like I said, explaining this film in great detail would be an absolute disservice to any fan. So the plot I described about the movie, about the masked figurine going down into an underworld, bringing a suitcase and a map, that's just the icing on the cake of what you're about to witness with this movie. So do yourself a favor, give this movie a try. It won't be for everybody, that's for sure, but I guarantee you, it is one experience of a ride you will never, ever forget. So, this concludes the presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will continue to do more videos in the days to come. So until then, take care and be safe.